Hello, Mr. Fonda. Hi, I'm Charlotte Ginden. Welcome to Minneapolis. I'm from the Guthrie.
Yes.
Lovely to meet you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Come this way. Hello. How do you do? Welcome. Charlotte Ginden. Please step through in this direction.
This way? Just right.
Yes. Could I introduce Mr. Fonda? Mr. Fonda, excuse me. This is Bill Carlson from the television station. We're doing the interview with you.
This is Bill Carlson. Henry Fonda, a man of complexity. John Steinbeck once described him as a picture of opposites in conflict. 52 years ago, he spent his college days in the Twin Cities. He returned this week to bring us his one-man show honoring Clarence Darrow. Come along and join our welcome.
Tie on when I was sitting in the car. All right. For anybody.
Thank you.
May 16th, 1905, Grand Island, Nebraska. A baby boy is born to William Brace and Herberta Janes Fonda. He is named Henry Janes Fonda, and a legend is underway. The family soon moved to Omaha. Henry's father owned and operated a printing company there, and one of his two sisters lives there to this day. Though his first stage appearance was at the age of 5, his real interest was writing, and at 10 he had an original story, The Mouse, published. It was this same interest in writing which was to bring him to the University of Minnesota in 1923 to study journalism, a goal interrupted 2 years later by harsh economic realities. Back in Omaha, young Henry was persuaded by Mrs. Marlon Brando Sr. to join the Omaha Community Theater. Fonda doesn't remember much about those first plays, but he does remember the infectious nature of the theatrical experience. You have been quoted as saying that I'm a self-conscious person. I'm an actor because I don't have to be myself. Is that exactly what happened?
Oh, yes. I didn't really realize that to articulate about for several years, but it's absolutely true that I am terribly self-conscious, probably less so now than I was as a boy growing up and as a young man, but still I don't mix well. I don't meet friends easily. Anyway, I have discovered that when I'm playing a part, it's a mask. I'm not me. I'm Tom Joad or Doug Roberts or whoever it is. And an author has written these wonderful lines for me. I'm either a funny man or I'm an intelligent man or whatever it is that I'm not. I can remember particularly in Critics' Choice, a not particularly exciting play, but it was a very funny play about a New York critic, and I played him, that roughly drawn on Walter Kerr, I think. A very witty man. And here I am to be a witty man, and I had the lines written. I couldn't wait to get out there every night.
Does that happen in a play? Do you find yourself picking a couple of areas in the play that just say what you want to say so perfectly that you just can't wait to get to that segment of the of the show each night?
Oh, very often. I don't remember anything like that in my present play, Darryl, but I know what you mean. There were special scenes that I would look forward to.
You know, it's curious that you would come up with Tom Joad and Doug Roberts. I guess it's not curious, it's logical, but it also happens to be the two films from which we have clips that we'd like to show tonight.
Oh, really?
Tom Joad, let's take a look at a scene from Grapes of Wrath. While we were watching that, you were just telling me something that I think we should share with our friends here, that scene was a particularly important one to you.
You don't really remember too much out of films because you do them out of context in short scenes. 30 seconds is an average length of a scene before you stop and change positions or the camera changes positions. But that was not only was it an important scene, it was an emotional scene, the goodbye scene, but it was typical Ford, who was John Ford, the director. He hated to do a scene more than once. He wanted the freshness that would happen in a first take. He felt that repetition would dull an emotion particularly. And though all of us who had worked before for Ford knew that, now we got ready for this scene, and it was quite complicated technically because the camera had to start in the tent and move around and dolly down and get us into a position at the little bench by the dance hall, where the scene started. The rest of it was just movement. And we'd rehearse it with the camera, but as soon as we sat down, he would never let us go into the scene. He would cut, because once he was there, the camera was set. And it took several hours for Greg Tolan, who was the cameraman, to light it and to get it ready. And in all that time, we never played the scene in a rehearsal. Now, he knew well that Maggio, Jane Darwell, knew the lines, that I knew the lines, and that we knew what the scene was, and we were, without even talking about it. He wouldn't talk about scenes. He didn't direct that way. And as a result, both of us were chomping at the bit. We wanted to say, hey, look, we got a great scene here, let's show you. And finally, they're ready, and they shoot. And we got into it, and we started the scene, and we were so ready that the emotion was all right there to the point where you have to hold it back. You mustn't let your emotion go too far, because you dissolve, and the audience wants to look away. But if the emotion is in back and colors everything, and you can hold it in a rein, that's really your soaring then, and both of us were soaring. And we did it, and Ford just stood up and walked away and never went close to it again, and I'll never forget it.
Your obvious enthusiasm about stage acting leads me to think that you are a stage actor who also happened to make motion pictures. Is that essentially an accurate statement?
Yes, I had no ambition for films at all. Of course, when I did my first big play in New York, Farmer Takes a Wife, when Fox bought it and offered me all this money to come out to do, I thought they were insane, but I wasn't going to turn it down. I'd already done it in the theater. Sure, I'll go out and repeat that and get all that money, come on back. And I did pretty much that. I did come back, I went back and forth, and I still go back and forth. Today, managers, agents will persuade you, and they persuaded me, that you mustn't stay in one medium, whatever the medium is, too long. Show business today is theater, radio, television. I mean, there's some others. Dinner theater. Well, that's theater. Whatever. But there are many. I mean, you're in show business if you're on a platform introducing Senator Tunney in a political rally. It's all show business, and you got to play all sides of the street. So since the 8 years that I was away from films, when I did Roberts for 4 years and Point of No Return for 2 years and Keene Unity Court Martial for a year and a half, since then, and they have persuaded me, I've done theater every other year. I'll do 2 or 3 films in the off year, and I say off year meaning I'm really living when
They weren't yet being called the fabulous Fondas. They weren't yet the constant column items. But apparently, from the beginning, Jane and Peter shared their father's interest in performance, making up and acting out their own Western dramas. Incidentally, there is another Fonda daughter, Amy, adopted at birth in 1953. So far, she seems not to be interested in acting. So far, Jane is the only one of the family to have won an Oscar for Clute in 1970. But Peter has become a millionaire and also has lost a small fortune in motion pictures. And the whole family still seems to be constant cover material.
That's the press. And if I may use the word time or time life or time loose organization, they're the worst about it. We did, the three of us, did a cover story for Time about 3 years ago, I would say. And there was a leg man, if that's what they're called, assigned to each one of us. There was somebody with me for about 2 weeks, somebody with Jane, and somebody with Peter. Eventually, we were all together at my home, Jane and Peter and me sitting side by side on a sofa, and the three men from Time also there. And it was during that session, the last session, that Peter, and he shocked me, because I didn't think he knew what he was talking about. He was talking to them, he said it again, he used words that you can't repeat on television. You're crazy. I don't care what you write, somebody upstairs is going to take what you've written and do something with it the way they feel. And that's exactly what they did. Not a word that was said during the weeks that we were being interviewed was used in the cover story. It was all a rehash of what they feel is a more interesting, provocative stuff of during their, what was a classic rebellion on the part of both Jane and Peter. Now, just recently, like 2 weeks ago, well, it was on the stand a week or two ago, but it was 3 or 4 weeks ago that we had the People magazine. I told the man the story that I just told you, and he sat there smiling about it, and the same thing happened. Peter came up from Key West to see me and to talk to them and to be photographed. They didn't use a word that we said to them then. They just dug things out of the morgue, you know, and repeated things that were hurtful things that were said 15 years ago. So there hasn't been a reunion or anything. I mean, when they first went into the business, it's classic. It's called a classic rebellion. I mean, if they were going in, if I was a banker and they were going into the banking business, it would be the same thing pretty much. You've got to rebel.
Also, it's the kind of difference, it seems to me, that exists between any two or three thinking individuals who care about each other.
That's right, sure.
I disagree, but I still love him. I hear all of you saying very frequently. You know, I recall a couple of years ago, Jane is the only one of the three of you who's won an Academy Award, who has won the big one, who has won the Oscar. And I recall that night, when so many of us were pulling for her because of that marvelous performance, and knowing that she had been involved in very revolutionary causes, had been identified as a radical, had said some shocking things to some people, what she was going to do with that moment. How did you feel? Were you wondering?
No, because I knew.
You did know?
Sure. She came to me and she said, Dad, I'm getting an awful lot of pressure to use the moment if it comes to me. And I said, resist it. Resist the pressure. Don't. It's not the time. You will turn people off, and you mustn't. If you're serious about what you want to sell, you'll be turning them off. It's not the right time. And I didn't tell her what to say. I just said, don't use it as a podium or as a forum. And she didn't. And there have been a lot of people in the last few days that have said, remember, Jane Fonda had the class not to use it, because she didn't say anything. She said something like, there's a lot that could be said, but this isn't the place to say it.
Your own political feelings have often been pretty much in line with, in general, with the way they feel, haven't they?
I'm just not, it's not that I'm not as committed as Jane is, and Peter feels the same way, and he's not, hasn't that same commitment. Partly that, and partly that it's not in me. I'm still too introvert to be the person that Jane is. I'm in awe of her, terribly proud, and in total awe that she's able to do it. I'm in sympathy. I believe in everything. I think she makes mistakes, and she's the first one to say, Dad, I know it. I'm learning every day. I have made mistakes. And she's made fewer lately, I must say.
You've been quoted as saying sometimes they're used. Is that accurate? Do you
They're
feel
what?
sometimes they are used by people, both Peter and Jane, used by...
Oh, they have been, yes. Mhm. I won't name any names.
What about Peter? Do you think he has settled down a bit in the last couple of years? He
Oh, yes.
became a millionaire, and then he spent a great deal
Then
of
he
money
spent
and
it,
lost
yeah.
some.
Well, Peter, I saw him just 2 weeks ago. He's in South Africa now on a location. He's done 3 in a row for the establishment. And I use, this is the way he would tell it, which means he didn't put up the money and write the script and produce it and direct it and play 4 parts. Because he was doing that when he was 12 years old at Fay School in Southborough, Massachusetts. But he's mature. He has matured beautifully. I'm real proud. I'm in awe of him too. I've been in films for 40 years. He's more knowledgeable about the technical end of filming than I'll ever be. I've never been that curious about it. He knows the difference between every lens and why it should be used and when. He's a very good director. I hope someday that I can work for him.
Is there a chance that the 3 of you may work in a picture?
Well, there's a chance that the 3 of us are going to be in a film that he wouldn't be directing. It will be acting. This is Jane's project, actually. It's hopefully it's in the process now. The script is being written. A story about the American Revolution. Just a family, not Paul Revere and Betsy Ross or George Washington, but just a father and a son and a daughter who lived against the background of the American Revolution. And if the script turns out, she's got the money, Columbia's ready to produce it. If the script turns out, we could very well be in production this time next year, the 3 of us.
It's been said, especially about Jane, I think perhaps more than Peter, at an earlier time, and probably not as much now as it was 2 years ago, that along with some of her radical feelings, she had lost a sense of humor about life. What about the 3 of you? What about your family? Do you have a good sense of humor? Are you sentimental people, emotional people?
Very. I mean, we cry at a good bucking horse or a steak, but we're very close. Humor. I mean, the people that say that simply are with Jane or listening to her at a time when there's no reason to have humor. She certainly has humor, and we're very close. Just, well, you know, if we're not in the same city, we can't be close. But we were all together Christmas with all the grandchildren, all came to our home. We spent the day together. It was just one of the more beautiful days ever for all of us. I mean, Jane has called several times in the last month just to remember how much fun it was Christmas. She's got great humor. So has Peter.
To many people, Henry Fonda's name will always first bring to mind the role of Mr. Roberts. After World War II, Fonda went from actual navy blue to stage navy blue, eventually racking up over 1,700 performances as the likable naval officer and subsequently making the motion picture with Jack Lemmon and Jane tired of playing the role. But new challenges always remain, and though he'll be 70 years of age in just under a month, and has had an electronic pacemaker placed in his body within the year, Henry Fonda continues to accept those challenges, the most recent being the one-man show on the life of Clarence Darrow, now playing a completely sold-out run at our own Guthrie Theater. Why are you doing a Clarence Darrow right now? Considering the fact that next month you'll be 70 years old, within the past year you had a pacemaker installed in your body to correct what might be an excessive strain. A lot of people would say, with that kind of success, take it easy, you know, do a few things now and then, and you're on a very difficult schedule. Why?
Why? Because it's my life, it's fun, I enjoy it. I wouldn't think of not doing it. It's just too great. I mean, that Clarence Darrow has happened to me at this point of my life. There's nothing in the cards that says that you will have something when you get to be this age that will be the climax of a career. You can very well, you know, just sort of slowly fade away and go into semi-retirement. And I could. There's no reason I couldn't, except that I find exciting things to do. And when Clarence Darrow was sent to me, and it came to me unheralded in the mail, the script, and I read it, I fell in love with the man, I fell in love with the play, the concept of the play, the challenge that it would be, and I just said, right now, I've got to do this. And the next day, I was in conference with the producers, committed myself, and within 3 weeks, we were in rehearsal.
There was a statement made, a quote I saw about Mr. Roberts, and I wonder if you feel the same kind of feeling here, that there was a love story backstage when Mr. Roberts was being produced. Is that an essential element to having a good, healthy, long-run play when you get this kind of involvement in it?
Well, of course, I don't have anybody to be in love with in Clarence Darrow, except 2 stage managers, an electrician, and a power. But with Roberts, it was a love story.
The whole cast.
The story was a love story between the cast and the crew and Roberts. But off stage, it was also a love story. But in a strange way, it was a love story, and I don't know whether anybody else uses the word as I do, love story. If you were in Roberts in any company, you automatically had a relationship with somebody who had who was in another company. Just the fact that you'd been in the play. And I've met so many actors, and they're usually the young actors, who have played in Roberts someplace, either in a national company or in a summer theater someplace. Mm-hmm. And there's a relationship just to get together and talk about it. And it amounts to a love story.
If I didn't ask you to do something, I think half of my crew might desert me, and some of the other people around the station would say, "Were you chicken?" Would you say GAF for us?
GAF.
There it is.
GAF. I know what, when the script has got so many words in it, you've got to do it in 27.5 seconds. You find yourself saying, so that's a GAF, and it comes out GAF, and that's what they kid me about. Right. If I've got enough time, I can say GAF. A good commercial is better than a bad film or a bad stage performance or a bad anything. And there have been so many actors who have been in commercials. I don't mean top stars necessarily, but you remember them because they're good in it. You don't remember the product probably, but you remember them. Sandy Duncan was so fabulous in her, and she made her success with it. Anyway, when they finally came up with a format that was that I thought was good, that would make a good exposure, I said yes. It's a lot of money, and it allows me to indulge myself in many other ways that I might think twice. I'm going to take Darrow to London in the summer for 10 weeks. And I know that from the reactions that I get from the people that do see it in whatever city we're playing, not only from the immediate reaction or the reaction when they come back after the performance to the dressing room or the mail that they send to me, they've had an emotional experience, the likes of which they've never had, and they want you to know that. It was so special. And I know that that will be the same reaction in London.
It's a great reward.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much for being with us
Thank you,
tonight.
Bill. Thanks for the chance to talk to you.
We enjoyed it very much, and we just are a little bit disappointed that there won't be the opportunity for so many hundreds of people to get to see you. The show is entirely sold out this week.
No.
Hopefully somewhere in the future schedule you can work us in once
It's
again.
going to be on educational television again. I don't know exactly when, but it will be again this year.
Mr. Fonda, thank you very much.